Hello, and welcome back to Restorative Talks with Why Me. I'm your host, Isabelle Gius. In Series 2, we're exploring how restorative justice transforms lives by hearing directly from people who have gone through the process. We discuss some sensitive topics in this podcast, including crime and violence, suicide, and drug and alcohol misuse, so take care while listening. In case you missed it, in the last episode, I spoke to Why Me Ambassador Andy about losing his son, the power of forgiveness, and the ripple effect of crime on families and communities. In this episode, I'm joined in the studio by Sheldon Lazarus. Sheldon and I discuss how restorative justice helped him to find meaning in the crime he experienced and to reflect on the world around him. It was interesting to hear how Sheldon approached the process not only out of a sense of duty for himself, but also for the young person who harmed him and their family.
My name's Sheldon Lazarus. I'm from London and I run a media company based in London.
And Sheldon has been an ambassador for Why Me for quite some time?
Yes, I've been an ambassador. Well, actually, we could work it out because it was just before COVID, my incident happened. So it's been a few years now.
Yeah, thank you for coming and being willing to share your story.
No, my pleasure.
First of all, if you could just explain a little bit about like your life before the crime happened.
Yeah, sure. I travel a lot for my work. We specialize in making factual documentaries. We have an office in London and an office in Los Angeles. So I do a lot of traveling. I live with my family. We have 4 children in northwest London, and it was a Friday afternoon that I will probably never forget.
And however much you're comfortable sharing, can you tell us a little bit about what happened from your perspective?
I normally leave the office on a Friday to try and get home in the winter before sundown. This particular Friday, my normal commute is via the tube, by the underground. Our offices are in Angel and Islington. I was coming back on the tube. I live quite close to quite a nice park. Normally I come off at the tube station and walk through the park. It's probably about a 8-minute walk to my house. Usual routine. I've done it for years. We've lived in this house for about 15 years. So all my kids have been brought up in the same house. And I came off the tube train, normal Friday, obviously always in a rush, coming through the park. And the incident happened. I got to an alleyway literally just near my house. And I don't know, you have this sort of like sixth sense. I could feel there was something behind me. I looked around and then someone sort of brushed past me. Thinking that's quite, because there was nobody around, which is also quite unusual because I walked all the way through the park and I didn't see anybody. I was on the phone at the time, quite amusing because I'd been trying to make this call the whole day. And I finally got through to the person I needed to get through to when I got off the tube. And I was all the way through the park on the same phone call. And the guy came round by the side of me, got a knife out of his, slipped a knife out of his arm through his jacket. And I said, I'm on the phone. Looking back, it was quite amusing, really. And he basically held a knife out at me and bizarrely said, give me a phone. And I repeated myself because I didn't know what to say at the time. This has never happened to me in my life before. I said, I'm on the phone. And the poor person who was actually on the phone was still on the phone listening to this happening. And I was so shocked. And luckily, he just turned around, did a 360 and ran down the road. And then ridiculously, I started chasing him, which was just so stupid when you look at my stature. I'm not exactly someone who should be running after someone with a knife because I just felt so violated. Got to the bottom of my road and he just darted off. And then I was just sort of stood there in the road thinking, what do I do now? This is awful. So luckily, I wasn't hurt in any way, but it could have been not very pleasant.
Yeah, can you tell us more about what happened after that?
After that, I didn't really know what to do. I mean, what do you do in those situations? So I called the police. They came relatively quickly and they took a statement, then went home. My wife didn't know anything about this yet and knocked on the door and I was obviously visually shaken. And then took a little bit of time to sort of calm down. And then ironically, which is really extraordinary, the person I was on the phone with called back because they taped the whole call. Everything was taped. So they had the whole incident, obviously only the audio. And that was it. I had a sort of a normal weekend. And then amazing, on the Monday, I was actually going to work and had a call from Colindale Police Station asking my details and they'd caught someone. Apparently I was the first person that they attacked that day, that Friday, crazy mad Friday. It did 2 other people and they wanted to know what happened to me. They told the story, the whole thing. And yeah, it was the person they caught. Luckily for him, he was 17 years old because there was a situation amazingly with Barnet Council that give them an opportunity if they wanted to, and if I wanted to sort of meet the victim. But yeah, it was sort of extraordinary to feel that I was like number one out of a 3-day, out of sort of a mad 3-bender. Just having to think about the other victims, which is sort of quite difficult, really.
And so how was that offer of restorative justice made, and how did you feel about it initially?
Well, very interestingly, initially I got a call from Barnet Council from a caseworker because he was under 17, because he was under 18. It was tried through the juvenile court, and he had an amazing, it probably saved his life. He had an amazing caseworker, and they initially said, would you like, this is now just before COVID, would you like to meet him? And I said, let me think about it. So I spent a couple of days. They called me back. I said, I actually would like to meet him. However, I want to meet him with one of his parents. I didn't know what the family setup was, because being a father myself, I wanted to meet him with his parent or one of his parents, or two of them, or whoever, whatever the family setup was. Then they called back saying, unfortunately, the mother is too embarrassed. This is this guy's first offense. It was sort of a mad weekend of, I think he had a debt to do with drugs. He got into the wrong crowd. He was a good student at school. It's the first time he'd ever got into trouble with the law. And I was suddenly sort of thinking, obviously he probably was a newbie, because like, why would he ask for my phone? My phone's like a beat up phone. What about my, don't people ask for wallets anymore? Do I have any cash on me? Or I had a laptop in my backpack, luckily for me, So I said, well, no, I don't really want to meet him. But then they came back to me saying the mum would meet. And because it was in COVID, they'd stopped doing the meetings in person. And in a way, I was quite glad. I think it would have been very different in person to the experience that we had online. I think I felt freer because I was more interested in speaking to his mum. It was his mum did agree to come to be, there was 3 of us on the call with his caseworker, who was an absolute angel, because, over 18, first time knife offense doing 3 people, it's not good. He probably would have been, I'm assuming he would have got a custodial sentence at that age, because they're not really bothered about listening to any mitigating circumstances at that age. So I think he was sort of the right side his age was the right side. And it was cathartic for me, and I think for the mum, and I think for him as well, I think. Because he patently was inexperienced, which is a good thing. He wasn't a career criminal by any stretch of the imagination. But it could have ended up very badly for this guy, and that was really awful. Thinking that what could have been.
Yeah, and can you tell us more about how the meeting went? Yeah, and maybe the preparation as well. Beforehand.
My preparation. Yeah, I mean that was. I think there's a couple of times I just didn't want to go ahead. I was behind me. I didn't, It was a number of months after the initial experience. I'd sort of trying to put it behind me, thinking, what good is it going to do for me? And I just kept thinking about this mum, because I wanted to sort of show the mum I wasn't angry at her as a parent. It's hard being a parent. It's not easy being a parent. It's sort of more for her, really. She's a really good person. Often kids go a different direction to what the parents want them to go, and it's not the parents' fault necessarily. I'm sure sometimes it is subliminally, but in this case, I don't think it really was. She was a very loving parent. I think she was really, really sort of shocked, really, that this would happen. But this sort of knife culture is really quite dangerous. It's sort of just seems a normal thing to do, and to have a sort of conceal a knife on him to try and get money out of people by threats. But it could have, as I said before, it could have been really wrong. It could have gone really badly. And we had a very long, detailed conversation, and I wanted him to do the talking as well, for him to sort of explain that. I wasn't necessarily angry with him, but just for me, it was just to explain how lucky he was being the age he was, because we wouldn't have been having this conversation literally a few months later. I think his age saved him. It was on reflection an extraordinary experience, which I will never forget. Being face to face with the person that could have caused a lot of damage to you for no real reason, apart from wanting to get something from me. And I just hope he also benefited from it as well. I think by the end of the call, I think he realized, listen, you never know. I think the regret it's always better meeting people in the flesh. And I sort of regret that, but I feel it was a bit more liberating not being in the same room. I can't really explain.
And what did you take away from the process?
That I think victims of crime, if they have an opportunity of confronting a perpetrator or perpetrators, then I think it's really very, very valuable. Obviously incredibly painful, but if they have the chance, I would really advocate that it is because it's sort of an interesting thing, isn't it? It's like a two-way relationship. He's benefited me. I don't know whether I've benefited him. You'd have to ask him. He's benefited me in a way. There is still definitely hangover from the event. Like I said, going through the park it's really not the same. When you feel a bit more vulnerable and you start thinking back. I don't like change. That certain people can move on with things. I don't really like change. So those, I'm quite into routine and just thinking that my routine was violated. Being so close to home as well. So I think if people have the opportunity, I think they should try. And it doesn't necessarily have to be always in person. Today, telephone calls, Zoom calls are normal, they're normal behavior. But I think it's important because it's a way. I'm not saying it's a way of closure because I don't think you ever close. You don't ever close these chapters, but it's a way of almost finishing a chapter. If that sort of makes sense. You might never ever get the answer of why me, but I think you could get the answer of almost the reasons it may have happened, and even the sort of inane reasons that I managed to eventually find out that he had a debt. It was something at school. He had to pay some. He got mixed up with drug. A lot of those are sort of not saying mitigate. God forbid, they're not mitigating circumstances, but it almost takes it slightly away from me as a victim. Because you sort of realize that some of the reasons why it happened, where often victims of crime probably never realize. They never get to find that out. I didn't do it. I didn't want him to say, in a way, weirdly, in a sort of weird way, I didn't really want him to say sorry. Because sorry, why? You can't say sorry. And I think for victims, if they're expecting I think people will expect other things from meeting their perpetrator. But I don't think it's the sorry, because I think you expect more. It's not about forgiveness for me. It wasn't about forgetting, but it's about the understanding, I think, that it wasn't just a random, because I think if these sort of just crazed random attacks, they're a lot worse, I think, in my opinion, to deal with. Then there's no, I'm not saying justification, no way, but because how do you deal with something happens to you when there's no reason why it should have happened? And I think this has taught me, going through this experience, that it's bad for him. It wasn't a random attack because he went on to do 2 other people. There was a circumstance why I was in this, because I was profiled, because I look like an old guy.
Yeah, I guess maybe going back to when you first got the offer or made the decision to take place in the meeting, what were you hoping to gain from it? Like, what was your motivation? Being
honest, originally I didn't want to do it. And then I suddenly thought, no, I'm going to do it, but I just want to meet the mother or the dad or whoever there was. I didn't know at that stage. So in a way, it was a weird thing. It was nothing to do with me. I just wanted to meet a guardian. At that stage, I knew he was considered in the criminal system a minor, luckily, which means there's a chance that he could sort of turn his life around before it's too late. Because once you get behind those locked doors, it's very, the prison system is not a great system for rehabilitation, as we all know. And that was my biggest sort of fear. He was a tall guy. I didn't know. I had no clue how old he was. So in a way, it was, I think when I found out he was 17, weirdly, that sort of helped me because I realized there was probably some hope for him. When I was offered that I suddenly thought, hold on, that's potentially really good, because it will, hopefully I can change through it. And I'm hoping he really will change and not do these things again. Because once you get past that 18, that clock ticks, then it gets really bad.
Did you have questions that you wanted to ask the parent, or something that you wanted to get across to them?
Yeah, the big note for me was his age and the fact how grateful he should be to this incredible caseworker on his case. And I didn't want to go, it was difficult for me because I didn't want to, I didn't want him to think I was like coming over all high and mighty. It was very difficult. When I was in the waiting room, waiting to go on, because obviously Barnet Council had to be on because it was a minor, his caseworker was on, had to, it was all duty of care. And I was very nervous. I'm not normally a nervous person because of the sort of the work that I do, but I was very nervous because I didn't know how this is going to go. What am I going to say to him? I was angry as well. I told him and the mother that I was really angry because of it was a real violation. Mm-hmm. And it could have, not necessarily anger out of my own safety, because I knew I was safe. I was already safe. Mm. But it could have gone so wrong. Not just me, the other two people. Luckily, I don't think anybody was injured. But he still went ahead with a knife 3 times, 3 strikes. This is just, it's mind-blowing. Mm. And I said to them, what were you thinking? Mm. And what were you thinking? Just, in a way, had to keep telling him how lucky he was. Mm. I don't know whether that's a good strategy or not. I don't know. I actually felt it was my duty. It's almost like another thing you have to do. You weirdly were chosen for this situation. Because I know in my own faith, I don't believe anything happens. There's nothing happens for no reason, obviously. I can speak personally. That's through my own faith. I realize that things happen for a reason. Most of the time you go through life, you will never know the reason. So I could speak for myself with my beliefs in my religion, that nothing happens for no reason. I'm going to talk personally. So in a way, then I felt it was absolutely my duty. People will not like what I've said, but I truly believe that. And how can you say it's your duty? You're the one who's been violated. No, but there's got to be something you can do to give something back, to try and make change, maybe to make things better. I don't know. And I just hope this guy, wherever he is, realized he was very, very lucky.
Did you get a sense of any impact that you had on the young person or on his parent?
It's quite difficult to know. You never really know if people change. But I think I got a sense after the meeting with his caseworker, obviously because of confidentiality, there's certain things, because he was a minor, certain things you couldn't tell me. But I think all I wanted to know is he going to go on do you think he'll go, will he start off again? Will he start again going into 18 different? That's all I wanted to know. Who knows? People make massive mistakes in their lives. We've got free choice. And she said, I think this has changed him. So that was a tick for me. That's why I wanted to be an advocate for the organization, because you're not going to change everybody. That's not necessarily always our job either, really, is it? People have, as I said, you got free choice. But I think I can sleep at night. Still hard walking through the park. Yeah, as I said, it was something that I won't forget. But I'm glad I went through the process. I think without that process, think about it, it's just meaningless. Just a meaningless, it's just a meaningless life experience, which could have gone really badly for both of us. These things are dangerous. So then you think, well, okay, how do I make this better for myself and maybe better for him and his family? And I feel like hopefully I've done something. Because you almost like, I don't know, it's maybe just my mind, the way I think. It's like, how do you turn from victim to sort of advocate? Not that we have to advocate for bad people, but this has helped me become that, or it helped me become that during the process. Because I sort of ended the process by caring for them both.
And then after the meeting, how did you feel? And now how do you feel looking back on it all?
I've not really spoken about it for so long. Straight after the meeting, it was like a relief, because I felt that I'd hopefully made some change, both to me and for him.
And you also mentioned a bit about it being online, but what difference do you think it made? You mentioned that you thought you may not have gone ahead with it if it had been face to face.
I think I felt freer, weirdly. I was in my own home. I just felt freer because I just wanted to unload. A lot of it, I said a lot of nonsense, but I just wanted to unload, because there was a passage of time since the event, which I think was really useful. And I knew I had his mum there, because I would not have done it without his mum being there. No, I told him that. No, I would not have done it. And that's not to cause pain, unnecessary pain. She's been through enough. It wasn't that. I wasn't being selfish or anything. I just wanted to, as I said, I wanted to tell her, prove to her that I'm not angry with her. And that was really important to me. But thinking back, would I do it in person? I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know. Probably. Would it have been better or worse? I don't know. It would have been more humanistic, I think, being in person. And I'd like to have shaken his hand at the end as well. Because I don't hate him. Hate's a very strong word. I don't think he hated me either. I think he just needed money. I'm not justifying what he did or to the other two victims. I don't know whether they went through the same process I went through with him. I don't hate him. I hate the system. I hate the fact that it's cool to have a knife. I hate that more than you can ever imagine. And I don't... Why in society is that a cool thing to do? What's led us to that stage? We've got to work out what's led us to that stage, that is okay, because it's not okay.
And was it because of COVID that it was online?
COVID was over.
Oh, okay.
COVID was over at that stage. I don't know whether they got themselves back to seeing people in person, or maybe it was me. Maybe I was just a big chicken. I didn't want to do it.
That's something I feel like we say at Why Me often, is that it's not, you didn't chicken out because it was online, right? That's one of the benefits of restorative justice, is that it can be so flexible. There's not like a gold standard, which is a face-to-face meeting.
That is a super important point. I think for anybody who has not been through, and we hope nobody has to ever go through this. But yeah, I think that's really important for people that, like I said, I don't know whether you offer this, but even just write them a letter. I don't know. Anything. For me, it was the connection. It's not, for me, it's not why me, it's why you. Like, why do you do what you did to me? It's that connection which really helped me. Really helped me. Hasn't helped everything. Like I said, the jitters through the park, that's just that's just my weirdness. But to realize that I can go through in years to come thinking about the experience, but knowing that I've managed to give back. And I'm not just some random statistic, some just random victim of a crime. It's given me my compassion back. Because you often sit there thinking, oh, yeah, I've got compassion. It's taught me to have compassion for people that have done wrong to you. Is not such a bad thing. And it's easy to say these phrases, do you really, really believe that? And, all that sort of stuff. But I actually, being through the system, I actually do believe that. So I think in my situation, my circumstance with him, being of a certain age, I felt it was almost like a big weight off my shoulder to be able to just tell him just to try and behave. You know what I mean? Just try not to do it again. But otherwise, I've never got that opportunity. You just don't. Well, how do you? You can't just call up the police and say, oh, can you just pass a message on?
Yeah, it seems like it lets you find some meaning in this awful thing.
Definitely. No, absolutely. And I think that needs to be you need to be an advocate for that. You need to be, I can only talk personally because it's different for different people. For me, it was super, super important. Once I'd finally gone through all these months of not wanting to do it, making up excuses, cancelling the calls, it was a process. People were very patient with me, but I would not have changed it at all.
And zooming out, how do you think restorative justice could help other people, maybe in particular with young people who have committed crimes?
It's super, super important for the whole country because it's the only way, I think, of affecting change. So I think for young people to realize the stupidity, the fact that you can change things can change in your life. You do not have to follow that path. You can be better than that. And it's not about preaching. It's not about, it's just being real. You've got to be a realist. People do cry. Crime happens. Unfortunately, that horse has bolted. What our duty as citizens is Can we do anything in our lives to maybe minimize reoffending or even offending? And most of the time, no. What do we get to do? What, unless you're a politician, you want to go and help with the police, community constable, okay, fine. But what other situation where you can get to literally meet someone who maybe offends, maybe they're a repeat offender? You can explain from our side of the table what they really should be doing and looking for in their life to live a more of a slightly meaningful life. And I think that's the opportunity that we've got with Why Me to do that. And listen, I'm not trying to, it's not easy. It's really difficult, but life is difficult. Life's difficult for me. Was life difficult for him? Life's difficult for the mother. But we've got a shared responsibility, I think. And I think that, and it's not for everyone, but I think if people realize that even little steps, it helps you both. He might think twice again. And I've done I go to bed at night thinking maybe I've done some good. It's nice to do good. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, those were all the questions I had. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to bring up? Actually, I had one other one. You don't have to answer this, but it was really interesting to hear about how it was so important to have a parent or guardian in the room. How did the meeting change how you think about parenting?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Being a dad of 4 and a parent, parenting's hard, stating the obvious. Because you don't get a manual. It was actually a massive wake-up call because she is such an amazing woman. And you think to yourself, and this guy was obviously very, very inexperienced. Because almost like he was trying to do a textbook robbery. It was almost comical thinking back. Give me a phone. I mean, what's he going to do? How much money is going to get? I mean, just thinking back now, it's almost, luckily, it was like a farcical robbery. So you could tell that he was not experienced. He was probably on the peripheries of a wrong crowd. He probably wasn't the coolest kid. He wasn't he hasn't been doing crimes and getting away with it. It just felt like it was probably his number one. It was his first crime. The sad thing for him, he did it twice. The premeditation was awful, which they were very concerned about, which also saved him because that 3 in one day is terrible, especially with a knife. That's not great. That's what the police told me. But I'm trying to answer this question in a very long way, but I'm sort of thinking that the society that we're living in, perfectly normal kids could end up doing really stupid things. And in my sort of idealistic world, thought you've got to strive always just to be a good parent and then your kids are going to be okay. It taught me a lot about parenting, that there are no guarantees. You just got to try your best. Try and be there for your kids if you can, and realize that they need you more. I'm hoping this kid will realize that, change his friends, try and be an advocate for good, realize don't do stupid, it's sort of building blocks. Society only functions when there's sort of various building blocks to make change. Because you can't click your fingers and make good overnight. That's not going to happen. You can't be an idealist. I always saw this as a practical solution, which I was offered, which I gladly took after a lot of convincing myself. And that's an incredible thing to be offered. And I think, I would always try and convince people to really make a considered choice, but really try and accept the offer, because it will definitely help you, or it will help the person in realizing that sometimes crime can change the person for the good.
Sheldon is a creative director at a media company and an ambassador for Why Me, advocating for the power of restorative justice to help young people turn their lives around. Thank you to Sheldon for sharing your story, and thank you for listening to Restorative Talks with Why Me. In the next episode, I'll be joined by Will Galooly, who was kidnapped and tortured in a case of mistaken identity. After spending 30 years bottling up the emotions he felt as a result of the attack, Will met one of the people who harmed him in a face-to-face restorative justice meeting. Tune in to episode 3 of Restorative Talks to hear more. If you want to find out more about restorative justice, or if you would like to donate to help us support people affected by crime, visit our website, which is linked in the description. You can also support us by rating, downloading, and sharing this podcast, which really helps us as an organization. Join the conversation by following us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at WhyMeUK. If you or someone you know has been affected by crime and is interested in accessing restorative justice, we would love to hear from you. You can get in touch by emailing info@y-me.org. Full details in the description. Thanks for listening.